You've been told a lie your entire life. Not once or twice, but over and over again until it settled somewhere deep inside you. The lie that after a certain age, maybe 50, maybe 60, men are supposed to just stop. Stop caring, stop feeling, stop touching, especially when it comes to masturbation. It's been labeled dirty, childish, shameful, something you were supposed to outgrow, like acne or comic books. Now, but here's the truth. No one ever told you. After 60, self-touch isn't just normal. It might actually be essential for your health, for your heart, for your mind, and for your connection to who you really are. My name is Dr. Michael Bennett. I've spent over 30 years sitting across from men just like you. Men who were strong, wise, capable, but silently suffering. Not from disease, not from age, but from misinformation, from silence, from thinking they were the only ones feeling numb, disconnected, like their body had forgotten how to feel. And I want to begin this journey with you by lifting the curtain on one of the most misunderstood and most important parts of your health as you age, the relationship you have with your own touch. Because here's the truth. Most older men either stop masturbating altogether, or they do it in a way that actually harms their body. And neither of those paths lead where you want to go. This video is not about shame. It's not about performance. It's about life. Real, vibrant life. The kind that doesn't end when you turn 60 or 70 or 80. The kind that can still live in your fingertips, in your chest, in your eyes. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. What if one small, private part of your daily routine held the key to better sleep, steadier mood, stronger hormones, and more vitality than you felt in years? Would you want to know what it was? Yeah. Would you want to start again? Achilles. If you're still watching, I believe the answer is yes. And you're not alone. In just a moment, I'm going to walk you through 7 truths about masturbation that every man over 60 should have been taught decades ago. But before we dive in, let's pause here, right at the beginning, and name what's really going on. Most of us weren't raised to talk about this. Touching yourself? It was taboo. Private. Punishable. Maybe you heard it from your parents. Maybe a coach. Maybe from the pulpit on Sundays. Wherever it came from, it left a scar. A FICA's scar. And over time, those early messages sink into your nervous system, quietly. They shape how you see your body, how you treat it, and how connected you feel to it, even now. So when men stop masturbating, it's often not a conscious choice. It's a slow, quiet retreat. It doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like a fading. Anise. But here's what I want you to understand, and what we'll explore together in this series. Self-touch is not about lust. It's about life. It's not about escaping reality. It's about reconnecting with it. It's not something you grow out of. It's something you grow back into. Imagine this. What if the way you touch yourself could actually improve your heart health? What if it could reduce inflammation in your prostate, boost testosterone, help your brain remember that you're still here, still alive, still worth caring for? Bun? That's not hype. That's biology. And yet, most men over 60 don't know any of this because no one ever told them. No one gave them permission. No one gave them the tools, until now. So here's what we're gonna do. Over the next several videos, I'll walk you through the 7 hidden truths that could change everything. From your sleep, to your hormones, to how you feel in your own skin. You don't need a partner. You don't need pills. You don't need to go back in time. You just need to start right here, with yourself, with honesty, with curiosity. Because you're not broken, you're not finished, and you are never too old to feel alive. Let's begin. Thus, if this message resonates with you, just type 1 in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. This journey is just beginning. You're not alone. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt something when you touched yourself? Ish. Not out of habit, not to distract, but really felt it. In your body, in your chest, in your breath. Because here's something I've learned after 3 decades of listening to older men in my office. For many, the answer is, they don't anymore. They still go through the motions, but it's become quick, mechanical, emotionless. A habit done in silence and shame just to get it over with, like brushing your teeth. only with more tension and far more consequences. You see, the first hidden mistake that slowly erodes a man's vitality after 60 is mindless, mechanical masturbation. Now, most men don't even realize they're doing it. It starts subtle. You're tired, you're alone. Maybe it's been years since you've been touched by someone else. So you turn inward, but not with care, not with presence, just with urgency. You use the same hand, same motion, same images, fast, disconnected, no breath, no emotion. And it might feel like a release, but here's what's really happening. You're training your brain to associate arousal with that specific pattern, not with real touch, not with real connection, but with tension, with rushing, with artificial stimulation. Millie, I remember a man named Alan. He was 68, quiet, proud, and deeply frustrated. One day, he sat across from me and said, "Doc, I don't know what's wrong. I can't feel anything anymore. It's like my body forgot how." What Alan didn't know was that years of mechanical self-pleasure had rewired his nervous system. His brain had become so used to one very specific kind of touch that everything else, real intimacy, slower sensations, emotional connection, started to feel foreign, or worse, numb. And Alan is not alone. Thousands of men experience this. They come to me with similar confessions. "I can't finish unless I do it exactly the same way every time. I feel nothing with a partner anymore. It's like I'm touching someone else's body." What's really happening is a form of neurological overtraining. Just like an athlete can train their muscles the wrong way, you can train your brain to expect arousal in a way that eventually works against you. And here's the scary part. The brain is a fast learner, but it's also stubborn when it comes to unlearning. So what happens next? Sensitivity drops. Erections become weaker. You need more pressure, more stimulation, more extreme visuals, just to feel something. You start avoiding intimacy, not because you don't want it, but because it feels off. Real connection feels slow, unfamiliar, even frustrating. And little by little, you pull away, not just from sex, but from your own body. Some men fall into a quiet shame spiral. They start thinking their body is broken, that they've lost it, that it's just age catching up. But let me say this as clearly as I can. In most cases, your body isn't broken. It's just overtrained in the wrong direction. There's even a name for it: porn-induced erectile dysfunction or delayed ejaculation. In some cases, complete inability to climax, called anorgasmia. And these aren't rare. They affect millions of men silently. Most never know it's something they unintentionally caused, because no one ever warned them. No one ever taught them a better way. But here's the part that truly hurts. When you lose sensitivity, not just physically, but emotionally, you start to lose connection. You stop wanting to be touched. You stop reaching for your partner. You stop even looking at yourself in the mirror. You retreat. And with that retreat comes something darker. Shame, frustration, depression, a growing sense that you're disappearing. You begin to feel like a stranger in your own skin. And it didn't happen because you aged. It happened because you stopped being present. But here's the good news, and I want you to hear this with your whole heart. Your nervous system can be retrained. Your sensitivity can return. Your spark is not gone. It's just waiting. But it won't come back through more intensity or more rushing. It comes back through presence, through breath, through touch that isn't just about release, but about remembering. So if you've noticed yourself feeling less, don't panic. Don't give up. Don't believe the lie that you're too old. Instead, try something new. Slow down. Turn off the screen. Put down the script. And simply be with yourself, with your breath, your body, your heart. Wiboguk. Because healing doesn't start with performance. He plan. It starts with presence. He plan. And that, my friend, is how we begin to feel again. He plan. If this resonates, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. You're not alone, and we're just getting started. Let me ask you something personal, but important. When was the last time you thought about your prostate? No, seriously. I'm not trying to be funny. Because if you're over 60 and you've stopped thinking about your body's basic functions, including how often you ejaculate, you could be making a silent but serious mistake. I know this isn't something we were taught to talk about, especially as men, especially as older men. But I want you to stay with me for a few minutes, because what I'm about to tell you could affect not just your quality of life, but your long-term health, even your risk of cancer. Here's the truth. Stopping ejaculation altogether doesn't make you cleaner or more dignified. It might actually be harming you from the inside out. You see, the prostate gland is like a small but powerful filter. It sits below your bladder, and it's responsible for producing the fluid that carries your sperm. But here's the kicker. If that fluid doesn't leave your body regularly, it builds up. And when it builds up, it creates pressure, inflammation, swelling, discomfort. That's why so many older men experience frequent nighttime urination, pelvic pain, or that dull ache they can't quite explain. It's not just getting old. It's often a prostate under stress, one that hasn't had a release in weeks, maybe even months. One of my patients, Tom, came in at 67. He was waking up 3-4 times a night just to pee. He'd stopped being intimate years ago, didn't think it mattered anymore, but the symptoms were affecting his sleep, his mood, and his energy. Must say, when I asked about ejaculation, he looked down, embarrassed. "It's been years," he said. We had a real conversation. I told him exactly what I'm telling you now. Regular ejaculation isn't about sex. It's about function. It's about keeping your plumbing clean. We worked together to rebuild a healthy routine. And within weeks, his sleep improved. His pain reduced. He felt like himself again. Rasha, ata, yadalatara. This isn't just anecdotal. It's backed by research. A major study by Harvard University followed nearly 30,000 men over 2 decades, and here's what they found. Men who ejaculated at least 21 times per month had a significantly lower risk of prostate cancer, by up to 33%. Think about that. Something as simple, natural, and private as self-release could literally protect your life. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. 21 times a month? At my age? It doesn't have to be all at once. It's not about performance. It's about consistency. A little each week. A healthy rhythm. Like brushing your teeth or stretching in the morning. Wormans. I know this topic can feel awkward. Maybe even shameful. Wormans. But that shame? It's not yours to carry. Wormans. It came from outdated beliefs, from silence, from messages that said your sexuality had an expiration date. Let me tell you clearly. It doesn't. Your body still needs care. Your prostate still needs relief. And if you ignore it, the consequences aren't just discomfort. They can be serious. Let me guess this. Prolonged inflammation in the prostate has been linked to everything from chronic pain to urinary issues, even cancer. And the solution isn't found in some expensive medication. It's already within you, Yud, so here's my invitation to you today. Ja dahez hati va gom. If you've been ignoring this part of yourself, gently come back to it. Ba gom. Not with guilt, not with fear. Ja gom. But with respect, with awareness, with intention. Because this isn't about lust. It's about longevity. It's about being in tune with your body, not giving up on it. You still have the power to improve your health, to sleep better, to lower your risk. Bar. You don't need a prescription. You don't need permission. Just a willingness to reconnect with the wisdom of your body. Let's change the story, starting now. Instead of ignoring the signs, instead of writing off the aches and late-night bathroom trips as just aging, let's listen, let's learn, let's lead ourselves lovingly into a healthier chapter. If this message speaks to you, let it sink in. You're not broken. You're not alone. And you're never too old to feel better than yesterday. Drop a 2 in the comments if this part opened your eyes. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because in the next video, we'll talk about the right way to self-touch after 60. You don't want to miss it. Let's keep going. Together. Let's talk about a feeling many of us carry, but rarely name. Shame. Old. It's quiet. It's heavy. And it often lives in the shadows of our earliest memories. For many men over 60, shame has been part of their story since childhood, especially around one deeply human act, self-touch. Maybe you remember being caught by a parent, scolded, shamed. Or maybe it was something you learned silently, through side glances, jokes, or stern warnings from a teacher or pastor. Wherever it came from, it stayed. And over time, that shame didn't just sit in your thoughts. It embedded itself into your nervous system. Neurologically speaking, Shame isn't just a feeling. It's a stress response. It tells your brain, I'm not safe. I've done something wrong. I am something wrong. And that signal triggers a flood of stress hormones, especially cortisol. When cortisol rises, your body tightens, your mood drops, your sleep suffers, and over time, you start to lose your natural connection to joy, to curiosity, to your own body. In fact, chronic shame has been linked to everything from depression and anxiety to heart disease and immune dysfunction. It's not just about embarrassment, it's about biology. I once spoke with a man named Richard, 72. He told me he hadn't touched himself in nearly 30 years. It always felt wrong, he said. Even thinking about it made me feel dirty. But Richard also struggled with sleep. He felt isolated. He was often irritable and didn't know why. After some gentle conversations and a bit of education, Richard gave himself permission to reconnect with his body, without judgment, without guilt. And what happened? He started sleeping better. He felt more relaxed. He even noticed his mood lifting throughout the day. The science backs this up. Healthy self-touch, when done mindfully, activates dopamine and oxytocin, two powerful brain chemicals that promote pleasure, calm, and connection. These aren't just feel-good hormones. They regulate your emotional balance, help you sleep, reduce pain, and even boost your immune function. But most of us were never taught this. We were taught the opposite. We were told that touching ourselves was childish, dirty, sinful, something to grow out of, haram. But what if that wasn't true? What if, instead of being something to leave behind, healthy self-touch was something to return to, with intention, with self-respect, and with awareness? This is not about lust. It's not about fantasy. It's about reclaiming your relationship with your body in a way that is grounded, healing, and profoundly human. So let me ask you, when did you first learn to feel ashamed about your body? What if that shame wasn't yours to carry? What would it feel like to lay it down? You are not your past, and you are not broken. The truth is, your nervous system is plastic. It can change, it can rewire, it can heal. And every moment of self-touch, done with mindfulness and care, is like leaving a breadcrumb back to your own wholeness. This journey is about more than the physical. It's about emotional repair. It's about spiritual honesty. It's about coming home to yourself. So if you've been holding on to shame, maybe for years, maybe for decades, I want to say this clearly. You deserve to let it go. Not because someone else told you to, but because your body, your mind, and your heart are ready. Hampi is saying you're not alone in this, and you're never too old to begin again. If this message resonated with you, type 3 in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed, because in the next video, we'll explore how to touch yourself in a way that actually heals, not harms. You won't want to miss it. Let's keep healing, together. Let's pause and ask a simple question. What really causes testosterone to drop as we age? Most people will answer, it's just part of getting older. And while that's partly true, it's not the whole picture. In fact, new research suggests something deeper and more within our control. It's not just the passage of time. It's what we stop doing as time passes that makes the real difference. And one of the most overlooked yet critical mistakes men make after 50 is this. They slowly abandon their sexual self. They stop caring for it, nurturing it, listening to it. They tell themselves they're past that stage, or too tired, or not needed anymore. But your body hears that message loud and clear, and it responds accordingly. Think of it like this. Imagine you've got an old car in the garage. Maybe it's not flashy, but it's solid, dependable, and full of memories. If you leave it sitting there, untouched, unstarted, for months or years, what happens? It doesn't stay in good shape. It rusts. It stiffens. The battery dies. Your body works the same way, especially when it comes to testosterone and your sexual health. When you neglect intimacy, whether with a partner or through mindful self-touch, your brain gets the message, we don't need this system anymore. So the body begins to shut things down. Hormones decline, muscle mass shrinks, motivation drops, mood sours, and before you know it, you feel like a shadow of your former self without really knowing why. Here's what the science says. Testosterone isn't just controlled by age. It's responsive. It listens. It adapts. When you engage in regular, healthy sexual activity, including masturbation, it stimulates the brain to keep producing male hormones. Yes, you heard that right. Mindful self-touch can actually reactivate your hormonal system. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. At my age? Really? Yes, really. This isn't about performance. It's not about pressure. It's about reminding your body and your mind that you're still alive, still worth the energy, still full of value. And no, you don't have to be in a relationship to reclaim that. In fact, for many men over 60, solo intimacy becomes not just a substitute, but a sanctuary. I remember speaking with a patient, Jack, who was 67 when he first came to me. He felt sluggish, tired, disconnected. He had chalked it up to age, but as we dug deeper, we realized something powerful. He had completely shut down his intimate life for over a decade. Not because he didn't care, but because he thought it didn't matter anymore. We talked openly. We created a small private ritual of self-connection. No pressure, just presence. Within weeks, Jack's energy lifted, his sleep improved, and guess what? His testosterone levels, measurably, began to rise again. That's not magic. That's biology, catching up to intention. So here's the real question. When was the last time you told your body that it mattered? When was the last time you made space for connection? Not for anyone else, but for you. It doesn't take hours. It doesn't take perfection. It just takes willingness. Willingness to explore, to listen, to show up for yourself. And that small act of presence, that could be the spark that reignites your hormones, your vitality, and your sense of being fully alive. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into how mindful practices, small, daily habits, can actually enhance not only your physical health, but also your emotional well-being. But for now, take a moment. Feki look inward. Feki be filor. You're not a machine that's breaking down. You're a living system that responds to love, to touch, to care. And yes, even now, especially now, you are still deserving of all of that, and you are not alone on this path. You never were. If this opens something inside you, hit like and share it with someone who might need it too. And don't forget to subscribe. This journey is about reclaiming life, one truth at a time. Let's talk honestly about something most men over 60 never bring up, but quietly worry about: maintaining erections. You've heard the phrase, use it or lose it. When it comes to your body, your muscles, your memory, your mobility, it's absolutely true. And yes, it's just as true for your sexual function. See, your penis isn't just about sex. It's part of a complex network involving your cardiovascular and nervous systems. And when erections stop happening regularly, these systems begin to weaken. Think of it like this. Just as your heart needs movement to stay strong, your sexual organs need healthy blood flow and nerve activity to stay functional. Without use, the tissues begin to harden. This process is called fibrosis, a gradual stiffening that limits flexibility and responsiveness. But that's not all. When your body stops producing nitric oxide, a crucial molecule that helps blood vessels expand and allows erections to happen naturally, your blood flow suffers, not just below the belt, but throughout your body. That means increased risk for high blood pressure, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. Yes, cognitive decline. Because reduced nitric oxide doesn't just affect your sex life, it affects your brain. Let me share a story. I once worked with a retired teacher named Paul, who was in his early 70s. He had stopped being sexually active for years and didn't think it mattered anymore. But over time, he started noticing more than just a loss of desire. His memory felt foggy. He was more easily fatigued. His confidence had dipped. And he began to withdraw socially, unsure of himself in ways that felt unfamiliar. After learning about the body's need for regular vascular and neurological stimulation, even if it's just through mindful touch or nocturnal arousal, he began a simple daily practice of reconnecting with his body. Not only did he start experiencing morning erections again, but he also noticed improvements in his mood, clarity, and sense of aliveness. It wasn't about sex, it was about vitality. This is something we don't talk about enough, how the loss of sexual function can quietly erode a man's sense of self. Not because of vanity, but because that function is tied deeply to how your entire system communicates and thrives. Maintaining regular erections, whether through intimacy with a partner or healthy solo practices, isn't about performance. It's about keeping the communication lines open in your body. Your blood vessels, your nerves, your hormones, they all rely on consistent activity to stay responsive. Without that, it's like a road that slowly gets overgrown. Eventually, things stop moving. So here's a gentle but important question. Are you maintaining this part of your health or ignoring it out of shame or resignation? And what might change in your energy, memory, and mood if you started paying attention again? This is not about being 25 again. It's about protecting your future, your brain, your heart, your ability to feel fully alive. So don't wait for things to fix themselves. They won't. But the good news is, it's never too late to begin again. Even small daily steps can lead to powerful shifts. If this message resonates with you, leave a comment below. Type 4, so we know you're part of this healing journey. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next video will share gentle ways to restore blood flow and nerve health without medication or shame. We're in this together. Let's keep moving forward, one mindful moment at a time. Let's have a real conversation, one that many avoid but desperately need. We're talking about modern pornography. Not the old magazines hidden under mattresses, but today's fast, high-definition, ever-available, algorithm-driven digital porn. It's not the same, and neither is its effect on the brain, especially for men over 60 who grew up in a different world. You see, your brain was never built to handle this level of visual and emotional stimulation. Modern porn delivers an endless stream of novelty, new faces, scenes, fantasies, on demand. With just a click, you're flooded with dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. And for a while it feels good, it feels alive. But here's the danger. Your brain starts to adapt. Over time, the more you use porn, the more your brain requires it just to feel something. Real-life intimacy, softness, slowness, connection starts to feel dull. Not because your partner has changed, not because your body has failed you, but because your brain has been rewired by artificial extremes. This is what neuroscientists call desensitization. I once worked with a client named Greg, 67. Greg said he felt emotionally numb. Even when I'm with someone I care about, he told me, I don't feel the same spark. When we gently explored his habits, it turned out Greg had been watching porn almost daily, something he started doing during the pandemic when loneliness hit hard. He wasn't proud of it. He didn't even enjoy it anymore, but he felt stuck. What Greg didn't know, and what many people still don't, is that excessive porn use doesn't just impact your sex life. It affects your mood, your focus, your motivation. It can lead to difficulty achieving or maintaining erections without porn, and over time, it disconnects you from your own natural desires. Raimesis, it's not about shame, it's about science. Your brain's pleasure center is like a garden. When you overwater with artificial stimuli, the real flowers, like touch, affection, eye contact, struggle to grow. That's why quitting porn isn't about willpower. It's about giving your brain a chance to reset. Greg began a simple detox. He cut out all porn for 30 days. At first, it was hard. Restlessness, boredom, even a sense of grief. But slowly, something shifted. He started feeling more present. He noticed the wind on his skin, the music in his living room, the warmth in his own breath. By week 4, he said something I'll never forget. I feel like I'm getting my senses back. And that's exactly what happens. When you remove the artificial highs, your nervous system has a chance to return to balance. Dopamine receptors begin to heal. Your sensitivity to natural pleasure slowly returns. And along with it comes real intimacy, real connection, both with others and yourself. So what can you do if you find yourself nodding along right now, recognizing pieces of your own story? The first step is awareness. Honest, compassionate awareness. No blaming, no shaming. Just noticing. Notice how you feel after watching porn. Do you feel energized or drained? Connected or distant? Does it bring comfort or just a momentary escape followed by emptiness? Start there. And if you're ready, try this, a curiosity challenge. Don't call it quitting. Just get curious. What would happen if you took a break from porn for a week? 10 days? 30? How would your body respond? What would you feel in the quiet moments? You may discover, like Greg did, that the discomfort at first is not a sign of failure, but a sign that your nervous system is recalibrating. Think of it like sugar withdrawal. You've been flooding your senses with hyperstimulation, and now your body has a chance to remember what real sweetness feels like. During this process, it's vital to reconnect with natural sources of pleasure, not just sexual, emotional, creative, spiritual. Take a walk in nature, sing to your favorite song, hold someone's hand longer than you usually do, Stroke your dog's fur and feel the sensation fully. Watch a sunset and let yourself feel awe. These moments feed your brain the kind of dopamine it can process well. Slow, nourishing, grounded pleasure. And if you have a partner, this is a beautiful chance to rebuild shared intimacy. Not performance, not pressure, just presence, eye contact, laughter, telling stories. Physical closeness. Intimacy isn't just about sex, it's about being seen and being safe. Now, maybe you've been alone for a while. Maybe you're widowed, divorced, or single. That's okay too. This healing journey is just as important, and maybe even more so, when it's just you and you. In fact, learning how to sit with yourself in stillness and find comfort there is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Because here's the truth. Porn can become a proxy for connection, but it's a poor substitute. You don't need to chase arousal. You need to rediscover sensation. You don't need to prove your masculinity. You need to feel your humanity. This isn't about becoming a monk or rejecting pleasure. Quite the opposite. It's about reawakening your senses so that pleasure becomes deeper, more fulfilling, more real. Pious. Start your mornings without a screen. No phone, no news, no stimulation. Just 10 minutes with your breath, a cup of tea, and the rising light. Before bed, journal for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what did I feel today? Even if the answer is numb, write it down. That's where healing begins. If this message resonated with you, type 5 in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll explore how to gently rebuild a meaningful connection with your body, one step at a time. This is not about judgment. It's about coming back to life, on your terms, at your pace. Let's take that step together. Let me ask you something simple, but important. When was the last time you touched your own body with care? Not to fix something, not to check for pain, but just to feel alive? This isn't a question people over 60 get asked very often, and yet it might be the most powerful one, because here's a truth that doesn't get said enough. When you stop connecting with your body, when you stop feeling, touching, tuning in, you don't just lose sensation, you start to lose yourself. This is what I call the silent death, and it happens slowly, quietly, not with a dramatic bang, but with a slow fading out. It starts with small things. You stop dancing. You stop singing in the shower. You stop holding yourself when you're sad. You tell yourself you're too old for pleasure, for play, for presence, and the body listens. You see, when we stop physical connection, not just with others, but even with ourselves, our brains begin to shift. Oxytocin, the hormone that helps us feel love, safety, trust, begins to drop. Cortisol, the stress hormone, starts to rise. And the longer this goes on, the more disconnected we feel from joy, from motivation, from life itself. I once worked with a woman named Helen, 74. Her husband had passed away a decade earlier. She told me, I feel like I'm just floating through the days. Not sad exactly, just numb. As we talked, something surprising came up. She hadn't touched her own body, hadn't held her hand to her chest, hadn't massaged her feet, hadn't even looked at herself in the mirror with kindness in years. I just stopped, she said. I didn't think it mattered anymore. But it does. It matters more than we realize. Because when we don't touch ourselves, gently, consciously, with care, our nervous system doesn't get the signal. I am still here. I still matter. Touch, when done with presence, says to the brain, I'm not invisible. I'm still worth care. I'm still alive. And the brain responds. It reawakens. It sends signals back to the body. Heart rate slows. Breathing deepens. Feelings, long buried, begin to rise, not to overwhelm you, but to remind you that you're still human. Now, I'm not talking about sexual touch, thus that's something you're healing too. Bioted. I'm talking about sacred, simple touch. Bioted. Holding your heart. Placing a warm hand on your belly. Running your fingers across your arms. Touching your face and saying, I see you. And yes, it might feel awkward at first. We're not taught to do this. We're taught that our bodies are tools or problems to fix. But your body isn't a machine. It's your home. And when you come home to it, even just for 5 minutes a day, you light a small fire again. A fire of dignity, of self-worth. Here's what the research shows. Gentle self-touch boosts oxytocin, lowers anxiety, improves sleep, and even supports immune function. It's not fluff. It's science, and it's deeply human. So if you've been feeling distant from yourself, if life feels flat, or colorless, or like you're just going through the motions, I want you to know you can start again. Not with willpower, not with discipline, but with something as small and as profound as a hand on your own heart. Try this tonight. Before bed, sit quietly. Put one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Breathe in and say to yourself, I'm still here. Breathe out and say, I still matter. That's it. That's the beginning. Bisoeto. And if you want to go further, treat yourself like someone you love. Give your body lotion. Run a warm bath. Massage your feet. Look in the mirror and say, thank you for carrying me this far. Because here's the truth. Your body is not done with you, and you are not done with life. If this message touched something inside you, type alive in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, where we'll explore how to rebuild connection with others. Once you've started reconnecting with yourself, you're not too old. You're not too late. You're just beginning a new kind of intimacy with yourself, with your life, and with the world. Let's come back to life together. Let's take a breath together. You've come a long way just by being here, listening, reflecting, maybe even feeling things you hadn't felt in years. And today, I want to leave you with one truth, one message that could change everything. You are not broken. You are never broken. What you might be feeling, numbness, disconnection, fatigue, even loneliness, these aren't signs of failure. They are signs of overwhelm, of protection, of deep wisdom inside your nervous system trying to keep you safe, even if it doesn't feel that way. And the beautiful part is this. If your body learned to shut down, it can also learn to wake back up. I call this the golden ritual, 10 minutes a day. That's it, 10 minutes where you touch your own body with awareness, with kindness. Not to fix anything, not to change how you look, but to send a message. I'm here, I care, I'm worth it. Now I know this might sound unusual. Maybe no one ever taught you that your own touch could be healing. Maybe you were raised to believe that affection or softness or tending to your body was something only others could give you, or something that should fade with age. But it doesn't fade. The need to feel seen, to feel valued, to feel alive, it never leaves us. And the science backs this up. Studies show that even gentle, non-sexual self-touch, like placing a hand over your heart, stroking your arms, or massaging your feet, can lower blood pressure, reduce anxiety, boost immune response, and activate the brain's oxytocin pathways. In other words, your body responds to your own care. I once met a man named Thomas. He was 72, divorced, and living alone. I feel like I've aged 20 years since the pandemic, he told me. I'm here, but I'm not really here. We began small, 10 minutes each morning. He would sit quietly, hand on his chest, hand on his belly. Just breathe. Sometimes he'd hum. Sometimes he'd cry. Sometimes he'd do nothing but feel the warmth of his own hands. Hep hands. And after a few weeks, he said something I'll never forget. I feel like I'm coming back to life. That's the power of this ritual. It's not a performance. It's not about doing it right. It's about showing up for yourself, like you would for someone you love. So what does this look like in real life? You wake up. You sit in a chair or lie in bed. Place one hand on your heart, the other on your belly. Take 3 slow breaths. Feel the rise and fall. Say to yourself, out loud or silently, I'm still here. I still matter. This body is my home. Then, touch yourself with intention. Rub your shoulders. Press gently into your feet. Massage your hands. Smile at your reflection in the mirror. Not out of vanity, but out of recognition. Because when you greet your own body each day, something begins to shift. You stop waiting for others to validate your worth. You stop abandoning yourself in silence. And the spark, the one you thought was gone, starts to glow again. Listen, healing doesn't mean going back to who you were. It means returning to yourself with more tenderness, more wisdom, and more presence than ever before. It means saying, this version of me, the older, slower, wiser me, is not less than, it's more. And yes, there will be days when you forget, when life feels heavy again. That's okay. That's part of it, Burris. What matters is that you return. The Elrific Heed me, Otridi. True your breath. Big slower. True your body. Puris. Evmi. Journey. This journey of reconnection. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. So here's your invitation. 10 minutes a day. No pressure. No fixing. Just presence. Touch yourself like someone worth caring for. Because you are. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You are still here, and the world is better with you in it. If you're ready to try the golden ritual, type "I'm here" in the comments. And make sure you subscribe, because next week, we'll talk about how to invite others into your healing once you've started reconnecting with yourself. Until then, be gentle. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your return to life, to feeling, to you. Let's walk this path together.